and when to recruit top talent and focus on running their business and growing their profits. Learn how to get started easily today and download your free PDF. By all means, go to sandystrami.com right now and download your free PDF of the 7 deadly recruiting sins you need to know right now. And it's also brought to you today by the good folks over at Priority Payments Local. Whether it's supply chain disruptions, rising costs of everyday business, or OEM programs requiring yet another dealer investment, dealer profitability is always under siege. The net zero technology from Priority Payments helps dealership reduce and even eliminate processing fees once and for all, saving dealerships and dealer groups as much as 5, 6, or even 7 figures annually. Ron, we just got done as recently, and the analysis delivered almost $500,000 savings to one of our clients. So really, really incredible stuff. And any way that we can lower expenses these days is critical. We've got inflation is at an all-time high. Let's go, Brandon. Sorry, I got to get it in there, man. We speak the truth here. We do not sugarcoat anything. We believe that what's going on is a joke. So anything that we can do to help fix some of these challenges, we will do. In the meantime, let's welcome my man, Mr. Matt Alphonse, who I consider to be a disruptor, an innovator, somebody that has guts, has started a business, in the heart of COVID. I mean, for anybody that has the guts, the balls, if you will, to start a business in the heart of a COVID lockdown, to me, is worth interviewing and spending some time with. And so I've been excited and looking forward to this. Ron, talk a little bit about how you found Matt ultimately, because this is your find, not mine.
So regardless of that, I mean, Matt, first of all, I appreciate you being here. Matt and I follow each other on social media. Matt has a beautiful APR tuned A8. And his vinyl wrap on his car, I saw Uwrench-It Auto on the side. I'm like, wow, as an Audi enthusiast, I love the car, but then I saw Uwrench-It. I was like, what exactly is that? So I did a little bit of a deeper dive, and Matt, just truly impressed with what you bring to the table with Uwrench-It. I reached out to Matt just saying, hey, I appreciate what you're doing for the people out there that want to service their vehicle, maybe take a different route than normally going to the dealership. And want to be there, whether working on their car with a certified technician such as yourself, or maybe they have a project build. It caters to people that either don't want to spend the time, money, investment into the dealership, or the car enthusiasts out there that might be like you have right now, a 2JZ supermotor in there being worked on by a client. And, for the car enthusiast world and people that just want to learn how to maybe service their own vehicle, that was the reason for my reach out to Matt, because it's truly groundbreaking stuff. So that's how me and Matt originally kicked off, and obviously both being enthusiasts, here we are.
Yeah, I mean, Matt, it's interesting because I always look at disruptors, people that are going to show us kind of where things are going, or potentially where things are going. And you took on a big challenge here. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that you've had to kind of tackle and get through early on in getting the business off the ground. But talk a little bit about, your background in terms of your dealership life, because you spent time in dealerships as a technician, and ultimately how you got the business started. Like, what spurred the idea? What gave you that creative burst that made you think that this was something that would work?
Yeah, sure. So, Ron, real quick, great recap, bud. The 2 days that you had me. So yeah, I've always had a passion for cars. I was 14, I bought my first car. I hate to admit, it was a 1995 Dodge Neon. So probably the worst cars you could have bought. I tore this thing apart 15 times. I'm 15 years old with almost no tools and just tinkering away with it. So I've always had a passion with taking things apart, putting them back together. That was really what really introduced my love and interest into the car community.
Sure.
So I started in 2005 right into a manufacturer as a technician. I was really put together by the #1 Toyota/Lexus technician in the United States for 5 years in a row. I mean, the talent of the guy was unbelievable. I didn't really care for him at the time, but the tools that he gave me to become the person I am now was just, I say it all the time. This guy is everything to me. So I started in 2005. I was in a dealership set for, I would say, 2013. We have rankings. So I went from a D tech all the way to an A tech, made myself a team lead. And then I graduated to become a shop foreman. After that, I went to field technical specialist for a corporate level. And after I left there for personal reasons, I then went to one of the biggest used car dealers in the nation to really brush up and hone on processes and my manager type of style, to really focus on that. Really all leading up to knowing that I wanted to do something long term and becoming an entrepreneur in this industry. Just wasn't quite sure what at that moment. What did inspire me was really the car community. I seen a gap with people that we would go to the car shows and we'd all talk about what we've done to our cars, but really nobody had access to everything proper. There were some people that were there that had no idea how to do it. They had the ambition and will. They'd go on YouTube and do DIY stuff and still mess up. And sometimes for the worst. So I seen that void, and I'm naturally a problem solver. So initially I'd seen that, I was still a little young, didn't really understand the full concept at the moment of what I was going to be doing. What really was the deciding factor, I think I told you this, Ron. I was at the Mercedes dealer. My wife was getting her car serviced.
Yep.
Service B for the S-Class, it was $500. It was $499. The service B was literally just a oil change and a rotate. We had AMG rims and tires on it, so we couldn't even do a rotation. And I really thought in that moment how many people were like me who could work on cars, can do the things, and they're subjected to having to pay these prices that, let's be honest, most of us can't afford $500 for a service that, just something that we can do. So that was really the moment in time through in COVID that I realized I've got to do something about this. I can't be the only person. So yeah, that's really what started it.
I like the fact that you went to your community first. You spend a lot of time at weekend car shows, I'm assuming, based on what we've discussed previously. And Ron and I have talked about this for the better part of a year with respect to the tuner generation that's out there. The younger folks that are investing the time and investing their money in their vehicle. I think it's a badge of pride for a lot of them. It's a release for a passion that they have. And very often they would prefer to work on the vehicle themselves. As you mentioned, didn't have the facility, didn't necessarily have the tooling, the equipment, or the technology. And so you stepped in and filled a hole in that community so that they can go in there and not only do it themselves, but also learn. Talk a little bit about what you do in terms of the side-by-side technician opportunity.
Sure. So I did mention, when I would be in the car community, some people didn't know how to do things. So I saw that as an opportunity as well. What we also provide, in addition to a few other packages, we do have a package where you come in, you have a lift, tools, everything that you physically need. And you also have myself, who can help you work through the vehicle. We do pretty much almost anything. And I work shoulder to shoulder with that individual. So I don't physically get hands-on unless I absolutely have to, but I try to empower the customer and
Sure.
do it themselves. And really the goal there behind it is, they get that pride, as you were saying. They feel prideful of doing it. They save money, they learn, ultimately gain the confidence to be able to come back a second time or a third time. And, I have a customer that, Ron, you were talking about with the 2JZ build. That was a shoulder full build. I mean, this guy spent a lot of money in this motor. I showed him everything to do in this car. And now he's taking that knowledge and he's helping one of his friends that's also in the car community. So, I love that. I love things that happen like this. And that's really the ultimate goal.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, to be completely honest with you, when I think about the success of the Vin Diesel franchise XXX and what it did, the Fast and Furious, and how it gave birth to that generation of tuner fanatics, if you will, for lack of a better way of putting it, it represents real opportunity. Talk a little bit about, from the business side, for you, some of the early challenges that you faced when you were initially getting started, putting your business plan together. What were the things that really became obstacles that you had to get through, go around, to tackle in order to make your business a reality?
Sure. Well, I think the first thing that comes up is this should be a no-brainer. The insurance behind, the liability behind the business.
Sure.
question all the time. That was definitely one of the most challenging first starting up the business. I spent like 8 months trying to get proposals, and I say this all the time. If you can jump out of an airplane, I feel like there should be an insurance that I could, safely guide somebody on doing a repair on their car. So that was really, really a big challenge. The second thing for a challenge, I would have to say, really just bringing the model together to life. I didn't really have a comparison. So I had to come up with competitive price analysis, but there was no competitors, so I had to create a model and then make sure that the pricing was good, for the consumer. And last but not least, I would have to say the marketing. Nobody knows this. People read the vinyl that's on my car and they do, they have no idea do it stuff. Some people don't even know what DIY means.
Yeah.
So trying to market and promote, hey, you can come over to my facility and you can work on your car with or without a technician, have everything in front of you, and I'll be here every step of the way is really difficult when there isn't somebody doing that already. So really getting my name out and trying to market that is now one of my challenges at the moment.
Yeah. And on top of that, Matt, talk to me a little bit about when we had our initial conversation. You had said, you spent a lot of time looking at data. We know that there's the not just enthusiast market, but just the everyday person who needs a tire rotation or wants to do an oil change but doesn't have the know-how, might not even know what DIY means. Talk to me about the data that you found, when you were getting ready to launch that propelled you to say, hey, this is a great idea. Yeah. There's this many people out there that really want to do this. Yeah. What was your biggest find, rather, that really gave you the aha moment?
Yeah, really great question, Ron. So I'm a big person into processes, analytics. I wanted to know, hey, if I come up with this idea and I propel myself into doing this, I wanted to make sure that there was a big problem. It wasn't just my local community. So I worked with the SBDC that helped me with this, and they helped me with the analytics as well. Since 2013, the DIY community has grown over 72% from 2013 to now.
Wow.
Yep.
For whatever rhyme or reason, median income doesn't matter, ethnicity doesn't matter. It really is the mindset of doing the DIY. And it's grown exponentially. And the automotive industry alone is, a lot of money. So DIY community,
that's why we're here, buddy.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that was probably the most astonishing analytic that I had received through the research, and there was also more, but for that one, that was really that okay, green light. This is something that I can work on and go.
Yeah, no question. That's a great response to that, Matt. Because again, without data, you don't have a business if there's no problem to be solved. So you saw a clear and obvious problem that everybody is having, and it was able to apply it to your business.
Yes, sir.
No, it's smart. I think your approach is intelligent. Making certain that you're on the right path and continually checking the analytics is brilliant. I find it interesting that the demographic is still fleshing out right now. I suspect that as we have, the millennial generation is in comparison size-wise with the baby boomers, right? So it's, I believe, the second, or it might even be the first, the largest segment of our population. And a lot of those folks are into doing it themselves. There's a huge tuner generation within the millennial generation, as well as the generation behind it. It's interesting to see, and I'll be really curious to see how it plays out. Talk a little bit about the arc of growth and scale in your business so far. Have you seen consistent growth month after month?
Yeah, I have. So I've only been open for a little over 3 months now.
Mm-hmm.
And I have, in terms of what we're doing and volume of customers, it's really impressive. I'm really taken back by it. I had started doing a survey just for me specifically. Try to get my clientele and see, what my business is doing. 42% of people who have come the first time have showed back up a second time.
Right.
That's really one of the key things a bunch of other questions in the survey, but really that was like a really big eye opening of how impactful that is for the future of the growth of the business.
Mhm.
And it's a slow start in terms of starting from nothing. I didn't have we do offer traditional repair, and I didn't have anybody. I didn't have a clientele. Prior to that, my clientele were technicians. So So yeah, I can get to them a little bit, but really, it's really the people who want to do the DIY and are on the YouTubes and YouTube channels and focusing on that. So I have started to see a growth month after month. Almost, I'd be inclined to say almost double with each month in terms of revenue. So it's been really a blessing.
Sandy, you're muted. You're muted.
My apologies, guys.
There we go.
Trying to work out a LinkedIn technical issue that we've got. So my apologies if they're trying to watch on LinkedIn. We're going to get it back up again in just a second. But Matt, talk a little bit when you talk about marketing. Give me an idea of what you guys are doing right now in terms of marketing and what's driving traffic to the business.
Yeah. So I'm doing a few things. One, I paid for a company to come in and do mailers. So they're doing internet, all social media. They're doing cookie chasing, and they're doing mailers for 6 months. To be honest with you, I haven't had great luck with that as of right now. Really, most of my marketing has been on Facebook and Instagram, social media platforms.
For sure.
Once somebody comes in from a group, they tell 3-4 other people, and another person comes in and tells 4 other people. Really, word of mouth has really been my tool after people get in. Getting people in, it's really been ads on social media. It's really been my biggest marketing strategy, effective, I should say.
Mm-hmm. Did you find a lot of people, of course, reaching out and just asking questions prior to making a visit, more importantly, where they're kind of getting a feel for what exactly is the process? You do a great job on your website, Matt. I got to tell you, for really lining the process out for people on how to work with you.
Right.
That incentive for people to come over there, is so big. So do you find mostly that on social media, they're coming to you asking you preliminary questions about what's going on in the process, or is it more of something else?
Yeah, I would say there's a handful, probably more than a handful of people have stopped by, tried to meet me, handshake, give me a tour. So that's really awesome. I tell you what, the biggest part of this is really the people that are coming in, building these relationships with like-minded people. It took me by surprise, to be honest with you. I didn't really see that. And it's coming, and it's a blessing. I really love that part. But to answer your specific question, if they don't come through, they do ask a few questions in social media, and I do encourage that. The more the better you get the understanding of what it is.
Sure.
So I do encourage that if that happens. But I would say the majority really just book an appointment and come on in. I would say about 10% of the people just, hey, I'm ready to go. So yeah.
That's great. That means that your marketing and your website are definitely answering the questions that they have, rather than having to come to you and say, hey, by the way. They'll just show up, and that's a beautiful thing. Let me ask you one other thing in terms of, this might be a little bit farther down the road, but have you put any thought into electric vehicles and how that might affect the business, like maybe installing a lift for EVs?
Great question.
Yeah. So the millennials again.
Those damn millennials. I ain't got those people, believe me.
I think me and Ron are defined as millennials. So
we are.
I got to represent.
Yeah, Matt, don't worry about it. That's a nice way of calling me old. It's all good.
So you said it, not me. But yeah, so great question again. I haven't really done much of figuring that piece out yet. I'm really I have my 5-year plan set. Doesn't really have that, but it's not going to be something that I won't do.
For sure.
There's a Tesla community, a car club that we're starting next month. They are doing a breakfast, or they call it Cars and Coffee, and they're coming to us one Saturday a month, and they're doing their rotates, and they're tinkering with their cars, and so they're opening up the shop for 3 hours on a Saturday once a month. So that kicks off next month. So I'm pretty excited about that as well.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of. I'm sure I'm going to get a lift. I would like to personally know a lot more about the product before I start showing somebody how to do it. So there's going to be my end, definitely, and then I'll check it out from that point.
Yeah, no
Well,
problem.
I'll tell you, we've got a number of great strategic partners that we work with. One of them is Todd Gaba, who is the founder and CEO over at Accurate Lifts. Accurate Lifts is, I think it's AccurateLiftSolutions.com, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Full transparency, Todd's a client. We work with him on a strategic partnership, but he is as knowledgeable with respect to lifts as they come. He's also a Pro Cut distributor for on-car brake lathes. So make sure you reach out to him. And if you want more information, just shoot me a quick email, sandy@sandycerami.com or ron@sandycerami.com. But we'll connect you with Todd. I think it would be a great introduction for both.
I think they get along really well too.
Oh, there's no doubt.
The technician background piece, Todd's a long time tech. So.
Yeah, I mean, they both seem to have a really high level of intent in terms of problem solving.
Yep.
And both are very methodical and detail oriented. And at the end of the day, they both get the job done, based on our experience. So,
good question.
Interesting. I have a question for you. When we talk about the future, any thoughts in terms of franchising or licensing? The concept, I think it's brilliant. I think it would work in multiple different markets around the country. Is that something you've considered?
Yeah, so I'm working with the SBDC for that. There's a lot of paperwork, projections that have to be done prior to.
Sure.
So I have my 5-year plan. My 3-year is to get out where I'm at, buy a body shop. My idea is to have a bigger place, and I also want to incorporate auto body into the model. It's a little trickier. But I think I have a pretty good plan on it. So I do want to encourage people. I really want this place to be, if you want to do anything to your car, you can come here and do it.
Mm-hmm.
I want metal work done. You can come over and paint your own car, work shoulder to shoulder with an auto body technician that can show you how to pull things out. Now it's not nuts and bolts, right? So it's more of an artistry when in terms of auto body. So it's going to be a little bit more trickier to deal with, but I definitely want to get into that space. To really, get larger in terms of who can come. I have a gentleman that's coming. He is doing a 82 Monte Carlo, full fab work, and he's putting hydraulics, the West Coast cars that would hop up.
Yeah, sure. He's gonna have a thumper.
Yeah. He's doing an LS swap to that car. So, it's gonna be awesome to see the projects and people's imaginations come to life. Coming to the shop. It's really awesome. So that's my 3-year and 5 years, kind of where I want to go towards the franchising.
Sure.
So I do have licensing and trademarking. I'm going through something at the moment with that. So, but I hope long-term, my 5-year plan is I want to own 3 or 4 of them and then franchise out.
Good for you. Love it. Let's talk a little bit. You talk about the creativity piece of it. I think, showcasing and really documenting some of these projects would be great content for social media and for the website. Have you done any of that so far?
Yeah, I have. So I just started. A lot of my friends are a little younger than me, 23, 24. So they're on the TikTok side.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't really gotten to that yet. I'm just starting to dabble with it. And,
Me either. Yet.
Well, you old guys have a tough time with the newfangled stuff. I understand completely.
Yeah, we're old, man. I mean, compared to them in terms of the technology.
Yeah. So I am starting to do that. But yeah, anything special like the 2JZ. I have a customer building a 302 that he's putting into a Mustang. Now he's not going all out on that, but going to be projects that come through the door. There's a gentleman who's doing a full four-wheel drive setup on his car. I got a guy who's doing drift car SC 300. So I am, as they come through, shouting out people on a daily basis. Just the person that's coming in and changing their brake pads. I want them to know that, hey, this is a great place for you to do this. I want people to know, hey, from novice to expert, the doors are open. I want you in here. I want to be able to build that relationship and ultimately have you grow and save money. That's really where I'm trying to go at. So yeah, I'm almost on a daily basis. I'm putting stuff up, but the special ones, those I gotta save those for the TikTok.
Yeah, you're right.
Hey, let's switch gears back one more time to when you first got started. I'm curious. A lot of times when we speak with entrepreneurs, there are usually doubters in the marketplace that are very close to them, that are telling them that they're crazy, that they're going to just blow a ton of money. It's not worth the investment of time or resources. Did you have that kind of an experience? Were the people that were close to you that were telling you, "Hey, buddy, this is a big risk. I don't think this is going to work." And if so, how did it impact you, and how did you break through?
Yeah. So, man, you guys are great with these questions. I'll tell you that. So I'll say in my close circle, right? I try to pick people who are in my close circle that are individuals like me, people who push people, really try to push people in a positive direction. That's who I am as a person. I don't have time for negativity. So I would
love it.
My inner circle, I wouldn't say no, not really. Everybody say, hey, that's a really good idea. Go for it. You have my full support. People outside of that circle and said, you're never going to, it's not going to work. It's not been done. People aren't going to come to you. Sure. People who don't understand it, I think are the ones who really have the most negative energy and the negative comments. They didn't understand the problem that needed to be solved. Therefore, they didn't really, they didn't believe in it. So, and again, that really pushes me to, call it pride, call it what you want to call it. But I really wanted to open the door for this space. And the people who didn't think that it was a great idea, this is, it's just a little added, hey, it's working. Yeah.
Yeah, you can say it's pride. I think it's vision. I think it's commitment. I think it's inspiration. It's a lot of perspiration, I'm sure, as well. But, I think pride really, it doesn't do it justice, because at the end of the day, the ones that were closest to you obviously knew that you had done your homework. You're an analytical guy. You had taken a look at the data before you even sunk a penny into this thing and said, yeah, there's a market appetite for this. And then it was just up to you to figure out how to put it together and how to get it over the starting line, right? Dealing with the issues with respect to insurance. How about location wise? How did you end up settling on the location that you're in?
Yeah, so through the analytics of the SBDC, I knew my biggest clientele was going to be Philadelphia in the Philadelphia area, mainly against a corridor. I really wanted to be targeted. I wanted you to come right off the interstate and boom, you're right here. There's city's the city. So you don't have yards, you don't have driveways where you can work on your car. You're working on the side of the road or on a sidewalk, So really I wanted to target that area specifically. I had started in Philly and got a lease over in Port of Richmond, which is a really good area for me to start. That was like the green area. That's where I wanted to be at. But I ran into some issues with getting the building set up and started for codes and stuff. And they were really, really behind due to COVID. Yeah. So I decided to pull back there and come to Jersey, but be right next to Philly as possible, as close as possible. In the analytics that I had gotten, for some reason, people in Philly don't like to cross over the bridge to Jersey, but people in New Jersey don't mind going over to Philly. I don't know how that works, but
well, listen, truth be known, I don't want to have the Philly people pissed off me. They're kind of afraid of the Jersey guys.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start that up right now, baby.
And Matt, I live in Levittown, PA, and I can tell you, like right now, I live in an apartment complex, and there's tons of cars in here. And I've seen, since I've been here for about 5.5, 6 months, I've seen 2 or 3 people that had their car jacked up in a parking space, right? Like, I mean, you can't be comfortable like that or potentially not have the right tools. So to your exact point with the Philly area and areas around here, there's a lot of people that would get use out of that. And also most of those people feel like how your wife did and you did, because you actually know the industry, that when they go to the dealership, there's a potential that they're not going to run into some of the people that Sandy and I deal with who take care of their people. There are dealers out there that their people are just frontline workers and maybe not giving that exceptional level of care to their clients. So they're kind of feeling like they might get taken advantage of. And unfortunately, that's a stigma that the automotive dealerships have had to deal with for many years. So, you kind of provide that middle ground where they can come work on their car, feel comfortable, and then also build a relationship with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I put it on my website. I was trying to do it gracefully. But you're absolutely right. There are places that do things that they probably shouldn't be doing. And in order for me to try to solve that problem, if you come in and you work on your car, you touch it, I guide you through, hey, here's your brake pads. This is what your tires look like. You get that one-on-one experience that, at a dealership level, you don't really get that. We're trying to fix cars and get the cars out, the right way. But nonetheless, the upsells and things. So I really, really love that part. Listen, as I grow, the technicians that are going to be working underneath me are paid salary. They're not here to upsell anybody anything. They're here to teach people and empower them. So that's really part of the model as well. With the stigma of the automotive industry, I really want to hone in and let people know that, hey, listen, you don't get any of that here. No pressure. We tell you what's wrong with it, what's not wrong with it, what you can't live with, and at the end of the day, you leave here happy, regardless of.
I would say this, guys. It's not. We're not just talking about dealerships. You can go about any automotive service center. Let's be completely honest. And let me clean that up just a little bit, fellas, in reminding all of us that most of the dealerships out there, if not the large majority of them, do a very effective job in terms of going through a multi-point inspection form. Most of their clientele doesn't want to roll up their sleeves and go into a service bay. That's why they're paying to have the service done in the first place. So we got to be cognizant and respectful of what those guys do. It's just a different business model. I love the way your business model rolls, because it's for that specific part of the market that's looking to roll up their sleeves. They want to learn something. They're excited and passionate about working on their car, and you provide them that opportunity. I think the roadblock that you jumped over on the insurance side is probably the single biggest thing that would inhibit or prohibit a dealer or an independent service facility from doing this. And you've proven you'll be the Roger Bannister of insurance for working on your own vehicle in a commercially held operation, right? Because once somebody proves that it can be done, the right way and effectively and profitably, ultimately, this may open up opportunity, for others to take a look at it. Somebody's got to do it at the end of the day. So,
no question, Sandy. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, no question. Let me ask you this: as we look out into the future for you, talk a little bit about how you see this business model evolving. You talked about your 3-year plan with 3 to 4 locations. How do you see this thing evolving? Do you see competitors emerging in the marketplace? Have you heard of any other operations that are anything remotely like yours, or people that have planned for it?
Yes. So working through the SBDC, I have found 2 that are pretty similar.
Okay.
Not the exact packages. I have recently come to find out somebody took the same model as I have, and like literally doing the same exact thing and enacting that in their business as well. So I do see that this is going to happen, and that's perfectly fine. I don't have any ill will towards that at all. The more people that do open up and are honest and transparent with it, with the same attitude that I go into it, I promote it. That just means more people can empower themselves to grow and learn. So, I
love that. I love that approach, Matt, because truthfully, when you think about, look at Elon Musk as a perfect example. He literally gave away a lot of his technology, patented technology, to the major players out there so that he could do a couple of things. Number one, he could get more investors in, so he could actually make, I would say, even more innovation happen more quickly. He'd also garner a lot more investment in terms of infrastructure with more players involved. He realized he wasn't going to be able to keep this all to himself forever. Smart enough, obviously, the guy's going to be a trillionaire at some point in time to do that. But I like your approach. Your approach is, look, if it validates my business model, you're not afraid of competition. You know what you want to do. You're true to who you are and how you want to operate. And you feel as though that's going to be the winning game plan and the winning formula. So imitation in any business is the sincerest form of flattery. And so I'm not surprised that somebody's tried to imitate or duplicate what you're doing. It reminds me of Mr. Pat Loeb, who's a Toyota dealer down in McKinney, Texas, a really amazing guy, an amazing dealership. And I spent some time, my man Eric Florzak is the fixed operations director down there, spent some time down there. And Mr. Loeb, when I went into his office to speak with him personally, I said, Mr. Loeb, I'm blown away by your operation, how everything's structured, how meticulous things are. And I said, how do you do it? And he pointed to 2 binders across from us in the room. And he said, there's everything you need to know in those 2 binders over there. I'll have someone in my office photocopy all of it, and you can take it with you, and you can feel free to give it to whoever you want to. He says, but there's one very important ingredient that's got to be there, and that is execution. If you're not willing to execute on the plan and be committed to that, then all the binders in the world aren't going to help you. It's a matter of coupling the plan with execution and consistent execution. And I think that's what you're speaking about.
Yeah. And it sounds like a very smart guy, great guy.
Mr. Loeb has done okay
Yeah.
during his career, for sure. No doubt. His dealership is still one of the top dealerships I've ever visited in 34 years in the business. So I like where you're going with this, buddy. I think that, as I said to you before, you had the balls to start, this thing in the height of COVID. Is there any, last few thoughts that you want to share with folks before we call it a day here?
No, I think really just empowering is really where I'm trying to go with. I am offering free classes very soon for people to come over and learn basic things, like, for example, changing
Smart.
there's a lot of people that don't know how to do that on the side of the road. So I want to classes to be able to do that, brake pads, oil changes.
Brilliant.
Again, here, the whole idea is just to broaden people's mindsets and just have a different way of doing things instead of the norm. It's really all I'm trying to accomplish.
I love it. We call guys like you innovators.
That's right.
Guys like you were innovators. I'm inspired by you. I'm inspired by what you're doing. I'm inspired by my man, Marvelous Ron Marvo, for finding you and literally picking up the phone right away and say, dude, I just found something that is so incredibly innovative. This could be a disruptor. And we had like a 15-minute conversation about you before we even had a chance, or you and I had a chance to meet. And then we had a chance to have that conversation initially by phone. And I knew that you would be a wonderful guest to have on the Automotive Intel Report. And so anything that we can do to help support you, we're glad to do. I know that Ron, is going to remain in touch with you. We'd love to have you back on maybe in about 6 months to a year and see what kind of progress you've made. But I want to thank you for being a guest here today.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you guys having me. Genuinely, I do. Thank you.
No worries at all. Thanks for being here. Look, make sure you follow both Ron and myself, as well as Matt and Uwrench-It on all the social media platforms like LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, I guess TikTok at some point in time. Make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you like these Automotive Intel Reports on all the social media platforms. It makes a difference. Once again, visit sandystryman.com for all of your recruiting, training, and dealership profitability solutions. Today's interview was produced and distributed by Sandy Stryman Associates. The executive producer is Mr. Ron Marvo. And when you don't know who to call or what to do, that's usually when our phone rings and our email inbox dings. We provide the most successful and cost-effective recruiting solutions, leadership, sales, and business development training in the business. So check us out at sandystryman.com. In the meantime, thanks again to my man, Mr. Matt Alphonse of WRENCHITauto.com. Go check out his website for more information. We're going to step up to stand out. And guys, we are out.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.